The Confessions of Arsène Lupin by Maurice Leblanc. Narrated by Spera. A Tragedy in the Forest of Morgues. The village was terror-stricken. It was on a Sunday morning. The peasants of Saint-Nicolas and the neighborhood were coming out of church and spreading across the square when, suddenly, the women who were walking ahead and who had already turned into the highroad fell back with loud cries of dismay. At the same moment, an enormous motor car, looking like some appalling monster, came tearing into sight at a headlong rate of speed. Amid the shouts of the madly scattering people, it made straight for the church, swerved just as it was about to dash itself to pieces against the steps, grazed the wall of the presbytery, regained the continuation of the national road, dashed along, turned the corner, and disappeared, without, by some incomprehensible miracle, having so much as brushed against any of the persons crowding the square. But they had seen. They had seen a man in the driver's seat, wrapped in a goatskin coat, with a fur cap on his head and his face disguised in a pair of large goggles, and, with him, on the front of that seat, flung back, bent in two, a woman whose head, all covered with blood, hung down over the bonnet. And they had heard. They had heard the woman's screams, screams of horror, screams of agony. And it was all such a vision of hell and carnage that the people stood for some seconds motionless, stupefied. "Blood!" roared somebody. There was blood everywhere, on the cobblestones of the square, on the ground hardened by the first frosts of autumn. And when a number of men and boys rushed off in pursuit of the motor, they had but to take those sinister marks for their guide. The marks, on their part, followed the highroad, but in a very strange manner, going from one side to the other and leaving a zigzag track in the wake of the tires that made those who saw it shudder. How was it that the car had not bumped against that tree? How had it been righted instead of smashing into the bank? What novice, what madman, what drunkard, what frightened criminal was driving that motor car with such astounding bounds and swerves? One of the peasants declared, "They'll never make the turn in the forest." And another said, "Of course they won't. She's bound to upset."
Sample complete. Ready to continue?